Summer has finally arrived, and with it comes change. Welcome to the second installment of Flower's visual novel series, which, after a bit of a delayed and troubled arrival, it's finally here. Only about 24 hours late from the proposed release date. I was refreshing the page religiously, checking sort of just at any given opportunity, and when I saw it was available, I tried to click download right away, but my internet isn't really up to par, so that's the reason behind the delay, but not a moment too soon, I suppose, because, well, simply put, I'm pretty excited. It's been about 2 years since Volume 1 Spring was released, and I definitely took my time finishing that, but I think I'm just as excited whether you might be a returning viewer, a returning player, or perchance this might be your introduction to the series, which I don't recommend, but I'm okay with personally. I hope that, well, I'll take a phrase from the game itself. When you open up Volume 1 Spring for the first time, and you're going through the opening credits, there's an additional message at the beginning, which says, "Please forget your troubles and enjoy this beautiful Yuri world." And that is what we are really trying to do here. It's what I tried to do with my, as of yet, incomplete playthrough of Volume 1 Spring. Check that out if you haven't already. And it's what we're going to try and do here with Volume 2 Summer. The objective of this playthrough, I think, stays the same. It's to sort of enhance and analyze the experience that we're about to go through. Maybe offer an additional or an alternative explanation as to why a character says what she says, or she does what she does, to sort of comment on the overall mood of a certain scene, maybe to talk about how it's fitting or not, to attempt to unpack the mysteries that are contained within, since this game does hinge on the player, mostly, but also the main character solving mysteries in order to advance. I assume that the pattern will be the same here in Volume 2 Summer, although I can't say for sure. And that leads me to my next point about me wanting to keep the format of this stream, or of this playthrough, the same. I had an advantage with my playthrough of Volume 1 Spring in that I had already played through it once, and as such I had been able to sit on the material, sort of ruminate on it, and really think about, why a character did or acted the way that she did in a certain scene, things like that. But here, well, I'm going in blind. Somehow I have managed to avoid spoilers, even though this game has been out in Japan for about 3 years, and I'm sure there are, a number of people out there in the West who have already played it, having known Japanese to some extent or another. I am not one of those people, and so I might trade genuine analysis for, I guess, more genuine reactions. I don't want to say that my reactions in part 1 were fake, but I had time to think about it. So, yeah, maybe they were less spur of the moment. Here, though, I really have no idea what we're getting into. And as far as my playthrough of Volume 1 Spring goes anyway, it's gonna have to take a backseat to this, because, well, I'm pretty excited about this, to say the least, and there are other playthroughs out there of Volume 1 already on YouTube. And, well, if you don't know the story of Volume 1 already, well, first of all, check it out. I highly recommend it. It's a beautiful story, and very well made. I just love the atmosphere and the overall feeling, as well as the aesthetic quality of it. Kind of looking for the same production quality here, both in story and character, in overall feel, and otherwise. So, without further ado, let's start. from the very beginning. We get the same intro screen, for at least for those who have played Volume 1 but never finished it. This is more or less the intro screen for Volume 1. I see you right there, Michael. I'm not gonna fall for it. You're gonna have to find someone else to bait. So without further ado,
私の心に渦巻いたものは熱狂、そして強烈な嫉妬だった。舞台の上で演じられる眠れる森の美女。彼女の演じるオーロラ姫は情熱を持ってターンを繰り返し、情欲を煽るかのようにその手を優美に突き出し踊った。なぜこんなにも胸が締め付けられるのだろう。彼女の踊るオーロラ姫、そのフェッテ・アントルノを見て、自分の動かない足を恨めしいと思うのだろう。まるで羽が生えているような演技を見せつけられ、私は胸の内に尊敬にも似た畏怖の念すら抱いていることに気づく。いつしか自分の腕で体を抱きしめ、震えを抑えていることに。ああ、そして激しい嫉妬の裏側に確かな情愛を抱いていることも。私はつぶやかずにはいられない。願わくば、願わくば私もあの舞台で共に。
alright, let's kind of unpack what we just saw for a little bit. Maybe for a first-time viewer that is just extremely confusing and a little bit nonsensical, but well, I think it's deliberately so, and the reason I say that is because it follows the format of Volume 1. And by that, I mean the game opens with this sort of, we're dropped into this scene that probably takes place, a ways through the story. Chronologically, it's very late, and it sort of gives us it frames the story for us. It gives us if not an endpoint, a goal to look at and to sort of wonder how the characters got there. It's narrated once again by the protagonist, who in this game, it's the girl in the wheelchair. It's Erica. That's her name. And she was introduced in Volume 1, Spring, and that's kind of why, well, it would be advantageous to have played through Spring first. Because I don't think this game has the burden of exposition on it, and by that I mean it doesn't need to introduce a lot of these characters. They're mostly returning characters, except one exception. I think we'll see. We'll get to it. That's just my guess, anyway. But yeah, we have a framing for the story. It's, there's a lot of emphasis on the differences between the opening scene of Volume 1 and the opening scene of Volume 2 here is that there's definitely an emphasis on, romance and desire this time around, which is kind of expected given that this is a Yuri visual novel. But in Volume 1, Spring, there was more of an emphasis on, how should I say it? I guess it was just like overcoming your past demons and personal growth and things like that, more so than like romance and things like that. And that's my analysis of that opening scene. We'll see if it comes to fruition or not. But I mean, yeah, I don't want to just run my mouth off, like not really knowing what's going on, I suppose. So let's get into this. Here is the first real like interaction at the game.
暑い。こんな日に上着なんてかけられたら怒鳴りつけちまうぜ。
Already within the first 3 or 4 lines, we have a media reference, which is a running theme of Volume 1, and makes sense for Volume 2 if you kind of know Yayagaki's character, Erika here, the person who's narrating. And it's a very universal reference, The Dark Knight. I shouldn't say universal, it's very Western. Volume 1 contained like a plethora of book and movie references from just like a variety of eras, but The Dark Knight Rises came out like in what, 2000, 2013, I want to say. I'm not really sure. But this kind of confirms that Erika here is our narrator, and that is really to my... that's why I'm very excited for this, because Yaigaki here is probably my favorite character in the series up until now. And we'll see why in a little bit. Her personality is very, well, it's easy to pick up on, and it's sort of in your face. So...
聖アングレカム学院。
I think that's an accordion. And those are bells, of course. This took me a second, but I think this is a reprise of the sort of upbeat swing music that Volume 1 usually sported during the happy moments and sort of uplifting moments. It sounds like an accordion, maybe it's bagpipes. I'm not really sure, but the instrumentation change is kind of obvious. Even if the overall melody is the same. I kind of like it. I'm not sure if you're supposed to associate like bagpipes with summer or an accordion. I can't really decide what it is, but I don't know. I like the change.
まだ3ヶ月ほどしか経ってないのか。
Music is kind of loud compared to voice volume. I might just turn that down a little bit. It's not a configuration here. Go. And turn voice volume up a little bit. Do this. And here's our cast. Kind of not a very glamorous introduction, but we might have to go and change these individually later on, since I did have to adjust them individually for the first time, or for the first one. Anyway, let's get back into this. See if this is a more favorable balance between volumes.
聖火からこの学院にぶち込まれて。
It's a little bit better.
それを解き明かしたのはあいつだった。
This is in reference to Volume 1, the first mystery that we have to solve in Chapter 2, and where Yaigaki makes her first appearance. there's the one that we just finished today, earlier. The Mystery of Chapter 5, The Legend of the Plot. I think I do adjust the volume again. This is kind of annoying. Still figuring this whole streaming thing out. Okay. In our minds, it's a very recent memory since we just did that. Unfortunately, since Erica is doing a very quick recap of Volume 1, it seems from her point of view, we might be getting into some spoiler territory here. And I hate to spoil the ending of Volume 1 because I haven't really talked about it yet, and I have a lot to say about it. It doesn't exactly leave a good taste in your mouth, and I don't think it's supposed to either. But I'm going to save that for when I actually go and play it, because I've had a lot of time to think about it, and I don't want to dedicate a section of Volume 2 here, what's supposed to be Volume 2's playthrough, to what we actually did in Volume 1. So that's a story for another time. Let's see let's see what she deems important from here on out. That's true. Those are things that we've yet to experience. But it's all part of Volume 1. You could definitely frame the sort of mysteries of Volume 1 in that way, that it was unnecessarily complicated or due to a bunch of misunderstandings, typical anime things like that. And of course, our misanthrope here, Erica, she would sort of think about it that way. She's not exactly the most positive person, but I'll take a moment to say hi to the stream. Hello, stream. I can see your messages right there, and I'll say for the moment that I do indeed have Ligma. I know. It's tragic. But that's neither here nor there. We're trying to lose ourselves in this beautiful Yuri world. So let's keep progressing with this. Two ways about it, that's where we pick up, or I should say that's where we left off at the end of Volume 1, and for those of you who are returning viewers, of which I don't have any, but let's pretend for the sake of this point that I do. For those of you who are returning viewers, we were playing Volume 1 Spring to go down Mayuri's route, the girl that was just mentioned here by our beloved protagonist, and yeah, she disappears at the end of Volume 1. And you might be asking, well, that's her route? Was that a bad ending? Was it not like the true ending, the canonical one? No, that was the canonical ending. I'm sorry to tell you this way, but I'm still not over it, basically. To make a long story short, it's not supposed to be an ending. And that's a little bit weird to say because yes, I mean, within the narrative of the first volume, it was literally the ending, but how do I say this? Suo's story is an ongoing one. It doesn't end with Volume 1. She's not the main character anymore, but we still have more to unpack about that. I want to say again to the chat. Just no comment. I already said I have ligma, and that is very tragic. I don't really want to go any further than that. Oh my gosh, we are at 4 viewers right now. This is like peak viewership for me. This is incredible. This makes me so happy. That's not a very good sign, of course. Seeing the state that Zuo was in. Oh, thank you. You want me to turn my mic volume up? Like so? How's that? I don't want to be too loud because my mic is very low quality. It's about $10 and just as old. Like that. Or I can turn the game volume down. That would achieve the same effect, I think. Okay. I think that's a more favorable balance. I mean, I do want to emphasize that I want to let the game do the talking for the most part. Thank you. Thank you for helping a little streamer out like me, AV Zeppelin. You're a real one. But I want to let the game do the talking, and by that I mean, I think that as a whole, like, the writing is very good, the story is interesting, the characters are all very like, maybe not dynamic, but relatable to an extent. And I think that's pretty impressive, given, well, they don't have too much to work with as far as setting goes, we'll say. And I really want to highlight this game's, like, the writing, the dialogue especially, is very good. The atmosphere, the soundtrack, aesthetically, it's beautiful, I think, and it's written very well. And I usually tend to only feel like I interject when I need to, when I want to clarify something, I want to offer, like, analysis on sort of a scene that doesn't make sense. I did all this in Volume 1, Spring playthrough. Go watch that if you haven't already. It's a sort of, it might set the framework for what this playthrough is going to be all about. But let's keep going with this. There's our main character there. Trust me, she's amazing. Unless she does something that pisses me off later on in this game, which is a very real possibility. That's a reference I don't get, I'm sad to say, but it's kind of normal. The Dark Knight reference at the beginning was a little bit more the exception than the norm, because whoever wrote this did their research, basically, made sure to incorporate sort of a wide variety of influences. That much I can agree with, though. I think this is also a little, it's a throwback, we could say, to Volume 1, where Suo goes into the library for the first time, and she has the same observation, that the library smells like mold, and like dust and other very pleasant things. And to the average person, it's like, why would that smell good? But I guess it's the sign of a true nerd that you enjoy that smell. And Yaigaki here is a nerd through and through. I'm sorry, Master Chief Peanut, to hear that you have Bofa. My condolences to you and your family.
Shirahane-suo. 誰かが図書室の妖精と言ったのもうなずけるな。
I think we can take that description like with a grain of salt, or at least we can sort of see it in the context that like it's a sad beauty because, well, just look at her. She's depressed. And if we played the previous game, we know why. If you don't, it was referenced at the beginning of this chapter through an unpleasant and untimely disappearance of her classmate slash roommate slash girlfriend. And that would take a toll on anyone.
私も髪を伸ばしてみるか。
And outwardly, I don't think our main character here, Erica, really cares about it, and she claims not to. But they're friends, and she would admit even that much. So I think she would just be bad at expressing that. And of course, the music stopped. Like the sort of joyful music that we were hearing before at the beginning of chapter 1 is now absent. And that's always, as always, that's a cue, especially when it just sort of comes to a halt like that. It's like, oh, this scene is important. Please listen. And that's the case here. I mean, like I said before, her story, I don't know, I think my mouse is on, I think it's recording, but I'm circling her right now. Her story's not over yet. At least I like to believe as much. There's a reference that I didn't get.
エリカさん。
I know in the last volume, Suo would often, like, I had to go into the volume settings and, like, actually raise her voice specifically. I might have to do the same thing here, honestly, because, like, her voice actor is just, like, her voice is airy and quiet by nature, so I'm just gonna do that here. Hopefully it's the right decision again.
遊びに来てくれたの？そっちの名前で呼ぶのはやめてくれ。呼ばれ慣れてないんだ。
For the uninitiated, it's Japan, and calling people by their first name is often viewed as a sign of intense familiarity or intimacy. Not everyone does it. First names are usually for close friends or people in relationships, things like that. And of course, Erica, being terrible with people and socially awkward, would be opposed to such a thing. Really, I think secretly she likes it. But she would never admit it.
前垣さん。勧められていた伝記だよ。読み終わったから返しに来たんだ。
Michael, you're right. I say that unironically. She is actually my favorite character. And I think her voice actor is, I'm pretty sure, is not just in this game. Like, she's played other famous roles, but I would have to go and look look up and confirm that information.
あら、早いわね。どう？面白かった？夢中で読んだからな。まあ面白かったんじゃねえの？あ、でも次は鬱にならない冒険活劇が読みたい気分だ。冒険活劇、シェイクスピアはどうかしら。リア王はおすすめよ。
Speaking from experience, to be entertained by Shakespeare is it's a difficult thing to do because the language barrier is just... I think you have to be a born reader to be able to digest it.
そっちも悲劇メインじゃないかよ。
Yeah, it is. Oh, it was a
し
joke.
かも四大悲劇の一つを進めるなよな。
I didn't get it. Went right over my head. Okay, she's talked about Suo's hair a lot. She's mentioned it, like, sort of... I guess she's fixated on it, or she, views this as a point of, like, beauty for her, things like that. Which is in direct contrast to how she sees herself. Suo sees herself anyway, because in Volume 1, whenever her hair is brought up, she was like, oh, it's so ugly, and like, it's like a crow, and fun things like that, you know, things that would just totally boost anyone's confidence. But really, I think it's supposed to emphasize, like, the difference between how other people view her and how she views herself, because even at the end of Volume 1, she was really struggling with some self-image issues, and things don't go away like that, just at the drop of a hat. Especially if it's a result of deeply ingrained emotional trauma, which we sort of touched on in our playthrough of Volume 1. But that's a conversation for another time, since it would be fully unpacked if we ever did finish that playthrough.
肩にホコリでもついていた？いや、いつもながら長い髪だなってさ。梅雨もようやく明けてもう夏だろ。首周り熱くないのかよ。そうね。でも夏服になったから。じゃないよな。自分らしくない真似をしちまうところだった。どうもお前と一緒にいると調子が狂っちまうな。
By that, I think she means she actually starts feeling like she actually likes being around people, since she constantly professes to the contrary.
それってどういう？言葉通りの意味だよ。とりあえずめぼしい本でも見つけるかね。適当に自分で探すよ。お前のおすすめは次の機会にするさ。
Something else I want to point out, just looking at it right now, is the narration style, I think, has changed a little bit from Volume 1 anyway, and I think it only makes sense for them to do that, because now we have a different protagonist and a different narrator, and something that was really apparent in Volume 1 was Suo's flair for the dramatic, and by that I mean she really has a tendency to overthink things and sort of like exhaust every single train of thought possible. She would often accentuate her observations with things like, oh, you know, things were going so well, or so I thought, or like, or this is easier said than done, or examples are escaping me at the moment, but that was sort of her style of narration. Erica, though, on the other hand, well, I do think they share some similarities up until now. I mean, their descriptions are very. There's a lot of figurative language in them, and it's suiting given that they're sort of the thing that their common interest, I should say, is like their love for books. They're very well read, but I think I'd like to see more of like her personality come out up until now because it's I wouldn't say appealing is the word, but it's a very important part of her character, I'll say.
暑くはあるが湿気が少ないのが救いだな。風呂の時間ももう少し後だしな。借りてきた本でも読むか。
That's sort of what I mean. She mentions Sister Basquiat, and who is that? Well, that's sort of another reason that Volume 1 is pretty important. Sister Basquiat's Dahlia Sensei, sort of we'll say the only important teacher in this series because she's the only named one, she's the only one who has a voice actor, things like that. And there are hints in Volume 1 that tell you that her story is not, it's an ongoing one as well. It's one that we need to keep following because she's a recurring character, and probably with her not is all as it seems as well. I don't personally like her, but what do I know?
「合唱部が歌っているのか」。いや、さすがに合唱部じゃないよな。ここまで届くってのはおかしい。
An apt descriptor. Suo took every opportunity to call Erica, sort of compare her to a cat. And as I've said before, I think it's a pretty fitting description.
時間を潰しがてら見物にでも行ってみるか。
Can't agree with you there. I still want to know because we still have no idea.
どうにもいけないな。この声。いや、まさかな。 眠る茨の棘に囲まれてる私いつかは目覚めさせてくれる柔らかなあなたのぬくもり桜に住む魔物
So, I'm starting to see a parallel here between this and Volume 1 because we are still in the intro, not yet at the proper quote-unquote story. We're still before Chapter 1, and the prologue of Volume 1 was preceded by this dreamlike meeting under the cherry trees in spring, which was a much more picturesque scene than the one they see here, because in like every high school anime ever, it's like school starts in April and you see the cherry blossoms are in full bloom and it's a very beautiful scene typically. And that scene was very dreamlike in nature. It seemed like it was in the dead of night and Suo just kind of ran into her by chance, it seemed, or fate, depending on how you want to look at it. But we kind of see this happening again here. Erika, Yaigaki, whatever, she's described this girl as otherworldly, like, multiple times. She's made sure to put an emphasis on it. And, well, I don't really have much else to say, but then it's probably going to be a recurring theme here. It sets the stage for this, like, sudden and unexpected relationship, maybe. I can only make conjectures because I don't really know what's going to happen from here on out, unlike my previous playthrough where I had already played through it once. Music is really good here, of course. It's standard of the series. Really, if you've been around for long enough, you'll see, like, I tend to praise the music more so than anything else. It's really a defining characteristic, I think, and one of the high points of the series.
誰？私はここの生徒だよ。人に尋ねる前に自分から名乗るのが礼儀だぞ。そう、盗み聞きをしていたのね。嫌な目つきだ。
You know what they say, first impressions mean a lot.
勝手に聞こえてきたんだよ。ここは私の帰り道だ。それより私の質問が聞こえなかったのか？おい、初日から嫌な気分にさせられるわね。この学院は優秀な者が集まると聞いていたのだけど。自分が優秀な人間気取りか。 盗み聞きだと見下げているようだがな。言っておくが、はっきり言って大した歌じゃなかったぜ。
I'm going to raise it just a little bit more. Okay. He's kind of getting drowned out by the violins. The array of violins in the background.
どうした？無視かよ。程度の低い相手とは話さないようにしているの。決めつけか。OJ シンプソンを有罪だと言い切るタイプだな。ここへは恨まれて逃げてきたのかい？
I think if it was anyone else, kind of judged so quickly and harshly, they'd be pissed. But maybe Erica senses a kindred spirit in a way. I think she can relate to judging people so quickly and so harshly anyway. As Michael put it, yes, she got... Well, did she get wrecked? I think she's taking it pretty well anyway. This is basically Erica getting her own medicine. She cannot go, like, through a normal conversation without insulting someone in some way. She didn't earlier in her first conversation with Suo there, but, like, damn. I'll borrow a phrase from the back of the physical copy that I have here and say... To say that the two of them get off on the wrong foot would be an understatement. That's a direct quote from the synopsis on the back here. And I say that, I steal it from the back because I couldn't agree more. Like, man, this is pretty intense. She's not like her at all. I think I can attest to that much. I think that's what Eric is trying to say. There it is. I think we're going to the opening here. I might have to turn down the volume. I hope my computer can handle this. Okay, I'm gonna stop talking. This is really great. 「
グリム童話にカエルの王様と呼ばれる一編がある。日本ではカエルの王子様として知られる物語だ。王女が感謝の印としてカエルにキスをして魔法使いの呪いが解け、カエルは人の姿に戻り王女と結ばれるというもの。しかし本来の話の筋は知られている物語ほど優しくはない。王女が泉に金のマリを落とし、カエルは友達になってくれるのなら拾ってこようと申し出る。王女はその条件を飲むもカエルと友人になろうとせず城へと去ってしまう。これから始まる物語は去った者を待つ哀れなカエルのお話。
So, how's that for an introduction? As far as first impressions go, I do want to comment on the opening a little bit, just that entire opening sequence that we just saw. I mean, I've seen it a lot of times because it also serves as the trailer for this game, and sort of in anticipation for it, I watched it at least like 15 times, if not more than that. But of course, like a function of like an opening in, really in any show or piece of visual media, whether it's an anime or like a VN here or otherwise, I think the function is supposed to offer just a very brief and not entirely holistic summary of what we're expected, or what we're supposed to expect in this game, and I think it's pretty obvious there that, well, there's a lot of, just gals being pals moments and very fun, reluctant bonding maybe, because, well, they got off they basically hate each other already, and they've had a conversation for about 5 seconds. So to see that, to see them go from that to what we just saw is, well, it's gonna be interesting to say the least. And something else I wanted to point out is that I did mention this earlier towards the beginning, but this game doesn't have the burden of exposition on it. And by that, I mean, Volume 1, Spring, had... It was, of course, Suo's story. It was sort of detailing her, like, first steps towards growth and development and things like those terms that I keep tossing around. But it also had the task of introducing all of the recurring characters in this series somehow. To its credit, I think it did a good job of sort of introducing them and framing them within her story as this... framing them with her story as this kind of her learning that relationships and friendship can come in many forms, depending on sort of just like your dynamic with the other person and things like that. So to that game's credit, it did a good job of including the exposition within her story, but this game doesn't have to do that. It kind of assumes that we know everyone already, and you can see that in the opening. You can see that there's definitely a focus on Erika, who is of course our main character, and Chidori, who I guess we know her name first from the opening before we actually learn it in the story, but yeah. And Suo's there too. She's also kind of a main focus. I actually wonder, by the looks of it, if she has a route. It's it's kind of weird because like her and Yaigaki are kind of just friends, and she displayed no interest in her in the previous volume, but well, considering she got a really bad ending in her volume, I kind of feel bad for her, and she has a pretty rough right now, so. But something tells me that if that was the case, it's not the quote-unquote true route. But since we have made it to chapter 1, I'm going to save here. And we keep going, of course, since we really just got past the introduction and nothing more. It took us 56 minutes to get there. Very nice. Anyway, we'll see the aftermath of this kind of unpleasant exchange that they had the day before, presumably.
自分の席が一瞬どこだかわからないくらいには来てなかったもの。
ごきげんよう。珍しいわね。教室で八重垣さんを見るなんて。
There's class president Rika, who is the main character in Volume 1. Since she didn't appear in the opening at all, I didn't see her at least. Maybe she was there and I just missed her. I think it is safe to assume that she's not going to be as... She's not going to really get the spotlight in Volume 2, which is kind of a shame. Especially if we know the intense drama that went down in Volume 1. We didn't really get to it in our playthrough up till now, since I'm only on Chapter 5, but trust me, in the last 3 chapters, along with everything that we've already mentioned, it's pretty nuts. She seems fine now, though.
それでどうしたの？何か困ったことでもあったの？
別に相談するために来たんじゃないっての。ただバスキア教諭から顔を見せろって頼まれてさ。
ダリア先生から？
ああ、無視してもいいんだが、バスキア教諭には世話になってるからな。恩知らずにはなりたくない。
That's new. We didn't really see a lot of animated poses in the first volume.
なんだよ。
お茶会にも来てくれたものね。
他人に興味を抱かない私が意外だなって思ったってことか。どこかの会長じゃないが、義理が廃ればこの世は闇よってやつだよ。世話になってりゃ別だ。
There's a teeny bit of backstory. None of it should really be ignored, of course, since we don't really know a lot about her backstory, basically, before she came to this school, even though she did get a lot of screen time in Volume 1.
そうね。
I kind of agree with her. She was right to be a little bit suspicious. Classic antisocial move. Now who could that be? We, or I, considering what point I stopped at in Volume 1's playthrough, we just came off a pretty intense moment with her. I might have to lower her character's specific voice volume because she's very loud, just in general. Sorry, Ichigo. You're great, but yeah, I'm gonna have to give you that treatment.
どうしたの？教室に八重垣ちゃんがいるなんて変だよ。珍しい光景ですね。
お前ら大概失礼だよな。
Well, we already know that.
だって珍しいじゃん。
それは私も思うけどね。でも気の弱いやつなら教室から回れ右するような言い方だぞ。
そうかな。いちご姉は勢いで話す癖があるから気をつけないと。ごきげんよう。
おお、ずいぶん遅い投稿じゃないか。
図書室に寄ってから来たの。で、どうして八重垣ちゃん教室にいるの？
少しからかってやるかな。
Oh, okay. Get our first choice too. Huh. Now I like to call attention to this thing in the corner. We can look at it as a progress indicator, because if we continue with the same pattern as Volume 1, this is a flower bud, and it corresponds, it listens to the choices that the reader picks and keeps track of them. And it should, ideally, blossom into a full-grown flower by the end of this story, if we pick the right choices, that is. And there are indicators that tell us anyway. It lights up with a certain color if we pick the choice designated for one route, and it lights up with another choice or another color if we pick the choice designated for another route. And there's almost always two choices. For the main story anyway. The mysteries are another matter entirely, but for the main story, there's gonna be two choices usually. I don't really... Now here's the thing, in Volume 1, you could usually hazard a guess as to what was the right choice, the choice for the route that you wanted to pick, because Mayuri's route, as we had learned in Volume 1, usually entailed growth, personal growth and development. That meant taking risks, being bold, saying things that maybe would be outside of her comfort zone, and this time, it's not as clear what, well, the point of the game is, but what, I guess, Yaegaki wants to do. With Suo, it was clear, it was make friends, right? Whatever that entailed. Get out of her antisocial shell. Yaegaki, it's not as clear. So, and I don't have any indicators, like, I didn't read ahead, I don't really know what to do, and so that's why I kind of hesitate to call this a walkthrough, because it's not a very helpful walkthrough if I'm here just deliberating and struggling and all those fun things. So, considering we can just save at this point, we'll see where this takes us. Okay, green I think is a good sign. Last time green was indicated the true route. We were going down the true route, Mayuri's route. In this case, I'm pretty sure it's Chidori's. Green is also her hair color. Maybe they're trying to make a connection with that, I'm not sure.
あれあれ、本当に深刻な問題だったり？
普段教室に顔を見せない私がいるってことは相応の訳があるのさ、実は。今日でこの学院を去るんだよ。
I like the additions here, like they're putting in animations and things like that. It's kind of funny. Adds to their expressions. I think it sort of enhances the experience.
嘘。そんな、私的にまだお部屋にも遊びに行っていないのに。
誘ってないから。
寂しくなる。
And they've bought it. Hook, line, and sinker. Wow, look at that. You can actually see it. Her eyes are tearing up. I'm a big fan of this. I like the new animated character models that they're showing off here. Maybe I want to say it just wasn't in the first game, or maybe I just didn't notice it.
私、お手紙書くからね。
Might be time to
忘れない。
might be time to backtrack. They're crying. You might have taken it too far, Yaikaki. I'm sorry.
これ以上は悪趣味になるわよ、八重垣さん。
ああ、そうだな。
She's probably enjoying herself.
八重垣さんを呼ぶだなんて何か特別な理由があるのかしら。
Yep, Eric has got it down to a T.
まあ、さっさと義理を果たして部屋のベッドに転がりたいよ。いつもなら寝てる時間なんだぞ今は。
それはダメよ。生活習慣は正しくするべきだわ。
Honestly, same. Nap time is never a bad time for nap time.
こいつも笑ってればかなりの美形なんだけどな。
That's not to say that she's pretty whatever expression she makes. Don't know if I agree with that.
ごきげんよう。はい皆さん、席についてくださいね。
Leave it to Erica to put it just very bluntly. Kind but airheaded. But it's nothing if not accurate.
「八重垣さん、ちゃんと来ていますね。嬉しいわ。
どうも。
今日は皆さんへ素晴らしいお知らせがあるの。なので八重垣さんにも教室に来ていただいたの。はい、ダリア先生、お知らせって何ですか？そうね、待たせてしまっても悪いから入ってきてもらいましょう。
I think I know what the news is.
もしかしてこれって、だと思う。でも
If you're still scratching your head, think of it this way. It's the first episode pilot of a high school anime. The main character has just left for school, thinking that it's going to be a great year, or maybe it's already partway through the school year and it's just another normal day. They come to the corner. So, don't know if you can see that, but I'm making a corner with my hand. So they come to the corner, and at the edge of the corner right here, they crash into some girl. And misunderstandings abound, and really the main character is just thankful that they're on their way, they don't have to worry about them, never have to see them again. Cut to about 30 minutes later, maybe 15 minutes later, in the classroom, and the teacher announces that they have a new transfer student. And who else would it be but the girl that they ran into on the corner? That is more or less, I think, what happened here, although their meeting was much more charged, I'd say, with tension and anger and fun things like that. I don't know, I'm going in blind, but obviously that's not the last we saw of Chidori, and she was absent completely from Volume 1 Spring, so I just kind of put 2 and 2 together. Let's see if I'm right.
さあ皆さん、旧友の方々へお名前を教えてあげなさい。転入生の高崎千鳥です。よろしく。特にありません。大人びた顔つきだから上級生だと思ってたが、ダメだったのかよ。だったらもっと煽ってやれよかったぜ。そうね。私からお話ししようかしら。高崎さんはお仕事のご都合でバレエと歌がとても上手だそうなのよ。
How humble of her, right, to not mention that.
ダリア先生、お仕事というのは？あら、そうね、そうでした。話すのを忘れていましたが、高崎さんは芸能のお仕事をされていたそうなの。だから知っている人もいるのではないかしら。芸能人はやっぱり性格悪いんだ。
And what do you know? She's famous, apparently. We're only adding on to the anime tropes here.
高崎千鳥、聞いたことがあるよ。有名人なの？歌番組とかで見たことあるよ。この学院は気に入りました？わからないわ。そう。
We can sort of make guesses as to her personality just from last night or the previous day's unpleasant turn of events and how she talks now. I think Erica's assessment about how they're two-faced, while maybe it is a little harsh, there's probably some truth to it. For now, I think with how smart she is and sort of how observant she is as well, Erica is a reliable narrator for the time being. even if she is a little bit biased towards not liking people in the first place.
And
that's probably true as well. She says they have that in common, that they don't like dealing with people.
それでは皆さん、新しい転入生の皆さんと仲良くしてあげてくださいね。あ、それと転入生たちのアミティエですが、
あいつらはアミティエが辞めているからな。
Now that this has been brought up, it's a little bit interesting to think. Obviously, the amity system is a very important part of the school, and for the uninitiated, it's basically like a roommate system where you're paired off with someone or some people, and you're kind of expected to do everything that you're just supposed to live with them. It's a roommate, it's an assigned roommate, except like a boarding school. But what's strange about it, I think, is that Yaegaki hasn't mentioned her amity partner, not even once. Not even when she goes back to her room. It seems like she lives alone, which is odd. That's the assumption, anyway. Maybe she does live with someone that she just doesn't bother to interact with, or maybe she does live alone and she just thinks that's normal.
彼女たちは昨日アミティエ選考試験を受けてもらっています。そこで彼女たち同士で組んでもらうことになったの。
高崎が白羽の班になったら面白そうだったのによ。
For lack of a better word, yes.
佐々木姉妹のところか。
You think so?
「ごめんなさいね。そういえば一つだけ例外があったの。アミティエ選考試験だけど。
It couldn't have been that simple, of course.
このクラスの生徒で高崎さんと非常に気質が合う子がいたの。だから転入生組は3名と2名で分かれることになるけれど、それで構わないわよね、高崎さん。
Seems like Erica's already figured it out.
それじゃあ高崎さんのアミティエですが、八重垣さんに頼みたいと思っています。よろしいですよね、八重垣。
意義あり。
どうしました、八重垣さん。
なんでイレギュラーな決め方をするんですか。転入生が6人なんだから3人と3人でアミティエを組めばいいんじゃありませんか。
I'm sure she's already thinking of what it would have to be like if they lived together, which, well, it would probably be a war zone in there. The insults would just never stop.
だけど先ほども説明したでしょ。高崎さんはアミティエ選考試験を受けてもらい、そこで厳正な審査の結果決まったことなの。 大丈夫よ。ちゃんと先行した上で八重垣さんなの。二人ともきっと気が合うわ。
Right, because the best way to judge the accuracy of real or project real world interactions is to take a test. And Dahlia has no idea what she's saying. Or maybe she does, and she's sinisterly laughing to herself as she says this, which I wouldn't put outside the realm of possibility.
アミティエとして仲良くしてあげてくださいね。
Okay. Again, I don't know what the theme of these choices are, and it seems like the sentiment of these, from judging from this choice and the last set of choices, was the same. You know, it wasn't like she was going out of her comfort zone by saying something like this, or I want to say this one actually now that I look at these, because it's kind of personal and revealing in a way, more so than this, right? Because this is a very sarcastic Yaigaki response characteristic for, but this, I'll have to think about it. Let's save, and what should I pick? I do want to go with this one. I think it's a little bit more revealing than it seems like it is at first glance, so let's go with it.
一人きりがいいのに。
Lights up green. I could be wrong here, and it might not be like Volume 1, where it just sort of lights up green when you make a choice. But, I mean, the flower bud's still the same. It hasn't really changed yet. But it looks like I was right. This was the truth, in a way. It's what it's like revealing. It's personal.
八重垣さん。大丈夫。先生は分かっていますからね。これからは寂しくありませんよ。きっと毎日が楽しく安寧に満ちた生活になります。
It seems like she interpreted it the wrong way, in classic Dahlia fashion.
なんか勘違いされてる。
Yeah, she does.
いや、そういうことではなくてですね。
何？
いえ、なんでもないです。
It's hard to argue with her. She just has that air about her.
どうにも事情を思い出して仕方ないんだよな。わかりました。
Seems like she comes from a larger family. I mean, she mentions multiple sisters. Not really sure how that affects or that shaped her current personality, if at all.
それではホームルームの後、学院内の案内をしてあげてくださいね。
But she's already mentioned it twice in the span of one chapter, chapter 1 plus prologue. It's probably important. And even now, the transition scenes have a little music to accompany it.
こいつもめげないね。
But as much as I want to continue here, this might not be a bad place to stop. It's we've kind of set the stage for just like a very entertaining and intense drama to play out, since now two people who basically hate each other and had the worst, probably top 10 worst first impressions ever, makes it on that list, and now they're living together. I'm sure that will be interesting. And sort of see, as I talked about with the opening, how did they get from this, what we see right now, to what we see both in the intro, in her opening, in Erica's opening speech, and what we saw in the opening theme. So yeah, I think we're off to a very good start here. I'm probably gonna. I don't want to make any promises about when I'm going to continue this, but I'm personally interested, of course, in seeing how this goes, and that will affect how long I want to stream, or when I want to stream next. So, aiming for tomorrow morning or evening, maybe both. That is maybe the ideal situation, but we shall see. Okay, so, oops. We're gonna save here before. Okay, we already saved right there. So yeah, we're gonna exit out, and we are going to continue with Chapter 2 tomorrow. This has been Flowers Volume 2. My name is Ottermelon, signing out, and I will see you all later.